This is Whatsawhizzer. I think I have 3 viewers. I had one a moment ago. I only do this once every 6 months, so every single time I have to relearn how to do it. And then every time OBS is updated, so I have to relearn OBS. Do you guys hear me? Because my audio input is saying that I'm doing good. It says excellent connection. I'm trying to remember if there's anything else that went wrong that would knock in my inability to be heard. I don't know, is it working? I don't hear anyone saying anything in the chat. Stream is healthy. Normal latency. Says streaming. Alright, I'm just gonna go ahead and start talking, but okay, thank you. Thank you. That's what I needed. Alright, so I like to start every time just by showing what my site looks like. This is what my site looks like. If you can access my sites, this is what you should be seeing. If you're not seeing this, then there's something wrong with it. So this is the homepage of the site. Most popular novels pop up here. You can scroll along and see, all the generally most popular ones. Right below that is the recent releases. The most recent, whatever just came out, will be up here, and then whatever's older will come here, here. I know this one says volume 18. I do not know why it says that. This is an error that has been going on. Cocoa Addict eventually needs to go through and figure out why it's doing this. We don't know why. Every other one should be showing you the most recent chapter. That's the most recent chapter came out. That's the most recent chapter came out. That's the most recent chapter. Everything else is right. My best guess is it seems this chapter, I believe, is chapter 1000. And it's possible that this theme didn't design itself to go past 1000. So it sees 1026 as just 26. That's my best guess of why it's doing that. And I don't know how to fix it. Hopefully he can, but right now he's working on other issues we're experiencing. I haven't had a site scraper for a while, so I haven't been able to put out new ebooks. So he's trying to build me one of those, and of course getting the bot properly announcing stuff is still ongoing. He sort of got it up and running. I'm not sure if it's running accurately or not. It's probably going to be a touch and go for a while until we got it. But everything else should be good. Like I said, it's just this one novel because it has so many books. It just can't. So many chapters released. I think it overloads the system. I think it's just too many. It doesn't recognize anything over 1,000. And that's why it doesn't have the most accurate. But I had someone, I'm going to go through the forums in a bit, but I had someone who was mentioning, oh, I want pictures here. Well, if you go to novels, there's it in pictures. And that's the same order. It's ordered by the latest. So this is the most recent one that went out, and then going down the list. And here, instead of getting the latest chapter, you get a summary of what the story's about. So this can help you decide what story you want. This can be sorted out alphabetically, can be sorted out by what's more popular, what has the most views, what's the newest release. You can also drop down and go by tags. And someone was saying, hey, can't I see free stuff? Like, how would if I just want to see what books are free? That's already built into it. It's right here, free releases. So if you hit free releases, these are all the stories I have that are free. There are older posts that somebody mentioned. I do want him to fix that. I'd eventually like it to be a line that just is right here that says show more and then have a drop down. I'd also like to fix it so it doesn't have like a uneven number here, because it's just weird how it has 2 missing. But both of those things are on the list to be fixed. I've mentioned it a few times. It's probably not as easy a fix as I think it is, because he's not been able to do it. But yeah, there's your free releases. If you want weak to strong, those are the stories that are weak to strong. World building, gifted MC, literally all the genre tags you could want. Actively releasing would be right here. Those who want incest, here's the stories with incest in it. And you just bang, bang, bang. You can literally pick out anything you want. And moving farther into it. Oh gosh, I don't even know if I can sign in here. Let me give me a second to figure this out off screen. I don't want to necessarily. Sorry, I'm having to do some shenanigans off screen because I don't need you guys to see my login information. That's why it's nice having 2 screens. That should do it. Am I logged in now? Go F5. There we go. I am logged in with Whatsawhizzer. The other thing you can do right here, if you go into user settings, here's a history of all the books you've been reading. So that's up to the most recent page. You can literally just go from there. So that's all automatically propagated as long as you're signed in. So everyone's saying, oh, I don't know where it automatically, there's your history right there of all the books you've been reading. And you can bookmark them too. You can manually do that if you don't like just a list of everything and you want to specifically bookmark to return to something. You can bookmark it right here. So both of those are features now built into the new site. And you're good to go. Looks like he added Android app. So if you want the Android app, here it is. It is free. All it does is open. It's just, instead of using a browser, it opens it directly. I can't say it's better or worse, but if you like having an app, well, there's one. So I'm gonna click back. All right, and then he created one for Discord too. I don't really need the Discord one. I think he put Discord link somewhere else, but I can't remember where it went. There's an area that Discord links are in. Is it in user settings? I don't know. Anyway, you probably don't have my upload manga. So that's for me. But if I did want to build a site where other people could upload their novels, that would be something I could do. Anyway, that's the start. Sorry, just looking to see. I'm just looking at the comments, making sure anyone has anything. It says, why get or hit or huh? Is that some kind of joke? Yeah, it's more like just an expression of like WTF, if you understand that, or it's just like saying, I assume he's talking about novels where I'll have that. One of the reasons is usually I started putting, dot, 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 just an ellipsis. I'll write it right here, just so people know what I'm talking about. I'll write something like that, and and I've had editors not really like it because it's basically like it's something you see in light novels that you see in Japanese novels. It's like just like a stunned silence instead of having to write. She sat there in stunned silence. You would write that. I've had a lot of them not like that. So I'll write something like ha or heh, or just ge is usually like you're getting hit, like ugh. It's that kind of noise. Heh would be usually like laughing or like making a joke, and huh would be is an expression of huh. I don't know what the heck's going on. But most of the time, like I said, those are just verbal cues of what you're doing. So yeah, the novel's got like this. The website's got a lot more than people realize it does. It's not. I mean, if you haven't looked through, you literally have, like I said, you can rate, you can organize things however you want. The thing that gets the most views, what's come out the newest as a series, latest would be the newest as which has the newest chapter out. And like I said, the reason somebody literally complained about this being too busy and having too many pictures here. So I literally removed the pictures, and then I had someone complaining that I removed the pictures. So, I mean, there's really no winning when I try to do this. I mean, some people are saying, oh, this should be up here. And I'm like, come on, just scroll. There's only so much I can give you. The reason I want the news first is because that's kind of the thing I want you to know the most coming to my site. I assume if you just want to read the book, you'd either link directly to the book, or you would go, to your history, and you would find your book here, either as history or as a bookmark. I mean, that would be the quickest way to find your book where you left off without having to do anything. But if you're going to my home page, the news, I would assume, would be the most important thing. And then these are just here to give you the most popular stuff and to put some art and style into the website. I don't want to do like useless giant splash screens that sit across. I mean, there's some websites that just have that useless splash screen across, and I don't want it to be useless. So this is kind of, it gives you something pretty to look at. Whoever listens to me argue on Discord with APFSDS aside. I mean, I think the arts are generally pretty enough, and yeah, they're just there to give you something to look at, and then of course that's your main list. I would like to shorten this list. I'd actually like to make it only about 6 chapters. I mean, I'm only cycling through about 6 chapters at a time anyway, and having an entirely, because some of these never change. Basically after, I hit a button. Basically after right here, none of that changes very much. You might see one chapter flip up every once in a while, but for the most part, all of these are pretty much staying put and not changing because I'm not actively releasing those chapters. So I'd rather just stop right here, stop about there, and then you can click more or older or whatever we want to call it. And do it from there. Like I said, this. I figure if you're clicking on novels, you're looking for a new novel at that point. I mean, if you're at the home page, you just want to know what's new that's come out. Here's what's new, and if you're looking for novels, here's how you look for whatever novel you particularly want. That's how I designed the site. And that's Discord and that's Android. Those two are new. I didn't even know he put those up until I just saw them now. But yeah, and then your contact page, that's where you see the Discord button should be here. I don't know why he decided to make a Discord there. Maybe somebody whined about it and say, you need to have the Discord so people can get to it. It's just here under contact. All my links. That's my Amazon sell stuff. That's my Wattpad. That's the YouTube, which you're probably currently at if you're listening to me. Web novel. Scribble Hub, maybe? Yeah, that's Scribble Hub. Then the other one's probably not web novel. It's probably Royal Roads. No, it is web novel. So what is Royal Roads? Is that Royal Roads? No, that's Twitter. So I don't have one to Royal Roads, so that needs to be put up there too. Because I have Royal Roads, Web Novel, and then Scribble Hub are the three sites that I'm currently publishing free works on. I try to publish farther along and more here on this site than I do on those sites, obviously, because I'm trying to encourage people to come to my site. If I even certain sites like Web Novel don't even promote donations, so, and most people don't donate anyway. How about my mascot girl? Is she a specific novel or just generic? Sorry, I go off on a tangent, and then I check your questions and see if anyone's asking anything. She's uniquely made. I just hired someone to design a mascot for me. She designed it, and ever since I kind of been going with that. I actually have the history of her. I just started ordering pictures of her, and I have more and more pictures. And now I just have like a freaking library. I don't even put 90% of the pictures of her I have up. I'd like to do that eventually. Give her own. I actually wanted to make her an OnlyFans page, and then do an OnlyFans thing. You got some of you, the ones who are on Patreon and Subscribestar, probably are aware that I started a diary taking place her story. It's actually a little bit of spoiler. It's actually a prequel to how she ended up the mascot on my site, but it's kind of her backstory, done as a teenage girl's diary as she goes to acting school. And the story behind it is she'd eventually get, I haven't been making as many updates as I originally was, but it's kind of just one of those generic good girl goes in the city and then finds out how harsh city life can be, and yeah, I'd like to continue those. I just haven't gotten around to it. I'm trying to see if I can find the original image I made, or the original image that got made of her before I continued on with her. And I'm not sure I'm finding it. It was definitely an older image. Yeah, doesn't even matter. But yeah, she's just a unique character for my site. But some people have said I should write a book with her, and I do. I have the Watchan diary. I might put it up on Discord too. I want to eventually make it so parts of it are membership only, but I don't want it to be unique to just Patreon Subscribestar, so I might put on Discord, and that can be your way of accessing it if you don't have those two. Please read my comment. Still well. Oh, which comment? Yo, still a subscriber? Remember me? I don't recognize the name Moner Manouche. Sorry, that's not a familiar name to me. PG-13, I recognize him. I actually do recognize Michael Howard's. I mean, there's some names, APF SDS, I recognize. But he's not on here, but you've got, if you've been on Discord, you know me and him have a lot of arguments. Anyway, I don't know if you have any other questions for site. I just want people to see it so that they're not like, well, the mine looks nothing like that. Well, then you let me know and maybe I can fix it. I get a lot of messages from people who will just be like, generally, oh, this is all messed up, and then not really explain themselves, and then it turns out that it's something they themselves are doing, and yeah, it's not fun to. Oh, by the way, in contacts, there's my FAQ if you want. Just all the questions I had before. I've updated them for the site, so I used to have premiums and early access. Now it's the gold and the silver. So that's all been updated. I still haven't gotten second. I gotten rid of the second, the $2 tier. We'll get to that. We'll get to that when we get into the premium stuff. But yeah, so the facts there. If you have any questions regarding why I do what I do or how I do it, I'm a very transparent person usually. I don't like to hide stuff. I'm probably too transparent in some ways because I'm kind of. am happy to show people behind the counter and see how I do things and why I do things the way I do. My newsletter, copyright information, that's all there. But since that stuff used to be up here in a menu, that was easy to follow, but now they're gone. Anyway, let's go on to the Q&A and go from there. So, I mean, last January I had a Q&A and I was able to score 363 responses. That was really good. For some reason, I don't know why, just because of when or where. Oh, I just clicked on the same one twice. The June one, I only got 82 responses. So I did not get a lot of responses on this one. Which is a little disappointing. But, in this one, I even gave away free books. So that was extra disappointing because I was giving away stuff and I still couldn't get people to say anything. Although, as much as I complain about that, my Patreon actually has gone up this month. This is the first month in half a year that my Patreon's moved. That's usually because I do the surveys. Because when I do a survey, people become more aware of what I'm doing. It's one of the few times that I really advertise my existence to my fans, from the external sites, and they start to realize that I have a website and I have all this stuff, and so I do usually see an uptick every 6 months when I do that. Anyway, I just asked the general questions. I've kind of gotten a format here. This is the 15th survey or so I've done by now. Gosh, have I been doing this that long? For not 15th, but at least 10. And I've gotten kind of a good format going on where I cut, members and non-members going their own unique paths. So, let's go ahead and responses. So, the majority of people read, but I still get the most people from Scribble Hub. Actually, considering how new light novels translations is, that's quite a lot of people I bring in from light novels. Now, I just started doing web novel. In 6 months, I'm very interested in seeing if this number has risen a bit. Because I'm trying to do web novel to get new readers. I'm having some trouble with that because some people think that my own images or my own stories are being pirated by myself. So I've had someone go on my stories that I've written and said that I'm pirating. Yes, there's a lot of people pirating my stuff. But if it's Whatsawhizzer or the true Whatsawhizzer, I have both accounts. I have Whatsawhizzer and true. Why do I have two different ones? Because one of them is connected through my email and the other is connected through my Gmail, even though my email is my Gmail. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me either. They're both Whatsawhizzer at Gmail, but one of them I click connect through Google, and the other one I click and write my manual password. Now, the reason I have the one that I have to write and click and do my manual password, and that's the one, the reason I don't have it on the real Whatsawhizzer, the reason I have my books on Whatsawhizzer is because the real Whatsawhizzer I can only access through Google, which means I'm not giving that password out to my digital assistant. I'm not going to give her access to all of my Google stuff. So I have a password unique to my accounts, which my digital assistant has, and she is the one who's been putting up my books. So that's why it's on Whatsawhizzer and not the real Whatsawhizzer. And I wouldn't even name, if I could choose, the real Whatsawhizzer. I know that's what they do on Twitter, and apparently that's what Web Novel does too, when you can confirm it's the real person. But yeah, Whatsawhizzer's me, and the real Whatsawhizzer is me. I have them both, and I'm doing it that way on purpose, just because that's what I need for my digital assistant to be able to use it. But this is nice, seeing I'm attracting people, because that was my entire intention with light novel translations and putting up Bacterium, was to attract people. And 7 people is quite a few. That's not bad at all, because I've only been with them for 4 months, maybe a half year. Yeah, about a half year. What story introduced you to my works? Most people, it's my dungeon life. I mean, it's kind of unfair when you think about it because, the story I'm putting out the most and putting out in the most places is going to be the story that gets the most attention. Apocalypse, my dungeon life. Those are the two stories I put out the most. World of Women, Power Creation. That's it. I'm seeing that I'm attracting people with Bacterium is nice because that's exactly why I wrote it. Was to try to attract new readers. How do you access my content? About 25 free. Although technically these are free too. So mostly Patreon, a few PayPal. It's not even called FFA anymore. I used to call it Full Frontal Access for those of you now, but nowadays I don't do it as much anymore. Any plans for adding options to add character, story, location for sponsorship? Not really. I tend to. I mean, if you want to sponsor a non-canon chapter, that's possible, and we could add whatever character you want, in whatever setting you want, and I can write you a custom. I mean, that's something you kind of can just email me on, text me on, and we can discuss that. As far as me incorporating them into my stories, I'd rather just kind of stick to what I write and what I imagine, and not have to randomly introduce characters. So I wouldn't add any. I would add stuff non-canon. I'm fine writing whatever you want me to write, but if it's like, can I pay enough and change your book? That's not it. But I would write canon stuff. If say you wanted a sex scene between two characters that happens in the book, but you just want like a different scene, you can pay me and I can do that. I've had people in the past who have made requests for extra scenes to be created, and I've made even some of them canon just because. Like mostly with World of Women, actually, that used to get a lot of extra because that was really early on in the beginning, and I had a lot more time, and so a lot of people would order, and then, so a lot of special chapters exist, and I consider most of those canon, where he takes Brooke to the theme park or something like that, and things like that. All right, how do you access my content? This actually splits you up. This question, like I said, showing behind the hood. Some people, if you're basically saying you're free, you're gonna be taken to the non-membership questions, and if you're a member, you're gonna be taking membership questions. It allows me to sort who's actually paying me, what they want, versus the people who aren't paying me and what they want. And it's hard to say who I put more weight on because at the one time I want to make my members happy, but at the same time I want to attract new members. So I kind of have to take both in mind. I mean, if you're free and not paying, what would it take to get you to become a member? And if you are a member, what does it take to maintain your membership? Just that kind of general stuff. How well do you know my work? I feel this is important because a lot of people will come into this survey and they'll have read one book or not even one book. I know some people get the link somewhere and just decide to take the survey for the hell of it. And so I include, I've not read a single book. I have no clue I'm taking a survey. And someone even selected that option. So, it's good to filter these things out. If you select, these two options, you're basically sent to something saying, hey, this is who I am. Thanks for coming, and don't waste your time with my survey because that's all you're doing. Were you previously a paying member? There's actually quite a few people who are, and most of them are willing to rejoin. I haven't pissed off permanently too many people, which is good to see. Why people quit? The others, I wish that I actually had left that as them being able to write something. I find too often if I give people the chance, the way the Google Forms works is if you can select other as an option, and then they can write whatever they want in it. what I did is I picked other as an option, and I wrote physically other, so that's like just another option. Because what happens is if I give them the choice of writing in their own options, there will be 50 people who will just write their own thing, and it'll just be a mess. And you'll see one of the questions down here where I let them write their own in, and just some people will write something that's already an option up there. They're just too lazy to look, or I have a lot of options, so they might have missed it. I won't call them lazy. That's a bit mean. But there are people who will just write like their exact opinion, and I'm like, I appreciate it, but there is an area for comments, and when you give me your exact opinion on every single statistic, it doesn't help me form an opinion. When I got 50 different people with 50 different exact opinions, that's harder than 20 yeses and 5 nos. So I tend to try to avoid that. So I just write other as an option. But now I'm regretting it here because I actually want to know what their actual reason for ending their membership was. Which, maybe they wrote it here in comments. What would have changed you to consider you to become a member again? One person says take recurring bit off of light novel. I agree. I do not like I do not like Light Novel's website very much. I can sort of show you why if you've never been there. It doesn't take much. I don't know, but I'm usually using a different. Give me a second. I gotta bring it up because I don't. Oof. Sorry, give me a second. Oh gosh. Well, this is their website, and I like it because right here I'm right on the front page, so that's kind of nice. Which is weird considering that, I appreciate the boost, but I'm surprised that I'm being. But if you actually go to their sites and see what they do, like there's an ad, an intrusive ad. There's an ad right here. There's an ad right here. If you try, I'm still haven't been able to actually get into this. Like, is this not a link? Huh. Well, here, let's go to read. I don't seem to be able to get in there. So here, let's read that one. I still can't seem to, nothing's clicking for me. Oh, yeah, that's right. It's extremely slow. I'm probably being impatient. Maybe. I don't know. But you see just ads, more ad. It's and here's when you're actually reading. Oh, was that a locked one? I didn't think that was a locked one. Never mind, they're very intrusive. Locking system. But ad, 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 ad. It's just, I have never, this is why you guys donate to me, so I don't have to be this. This is just showing you. I just want you to see what my site could be. This is what I could do. This is what I choose deliberately not to do. I do not have any ads on it. You can complain all you want about anything else about my site, but my site does not. That, and because of it, it is so bloated that it runs like molasses. Just getting it, another ad, just getting it to do anything runs so slow. Uploading a chapter to them, just the 3 links it takes to upload a chapter takes 15 minutes for them, and it's So I get it. I guess is the takeaway here. I get them not wanting to use that site. I I only went to them. I didn't realize it was how bad it was when I went to the site, and I was mostly, like I said, looking at them the same way I'm looking at web novel, and I hate web novel too. But I need to put stuff on sites to get, you know, to get them being used more, or to get more people to come to me, because I don't. That's the only way I can gain readers, and if I'm not gaining readers, I'm losing readers. This is almost definitely APF SDS. I would be shocked if that was anyone else's comment. Sell me your soul, mwahaha. Can't afford shit. Yep. And he called it. President Kamala Harris. She's gonna be running for president. Apparently, Biden dropped out. I just heard. I don't know. I'm not gonna make it political, but I just heard that that's what happened. But half of you were overseas. And you're like, I don't even know who those people are. Rise of the Midnight King releases. Yeah. I do have a lot. I know what to write for Rise of the Midnight. It's just not coming out easily lately. And that's really all it's come down to, is just I haven't been. I know I still have sponsors I want to get out there, and they're just not coming out. Oh, by the way, when I do it, when I add sponsors, the way I want to do it, here. So what you would do is you'd go into any novel, and there would be a sponsorship button right here, right? What it would be is it would be basically like a temperature gauge that goes up to a certain amount. That amount would probably be $50, and so you'd have the option, and you could go pay or whatever, donate, sponsor, and you could sponsor any amount of money. If you sponsor $5, it will instantly unlock the chapter for you, and you'll be able to read the chapter in entirety. It'll be like the newest chapter. So if I went here, chapters 57 through 59 would already be out, but it would be a locked, untouchable chapter that's just ahead of everything else. You pay $5, you get it, and then that temperature gauge goes up by $5, 5 out of 50. Once it hits $50, then it'll unlock for everyone. Everyone will be able to read it, and then I will be compelled to write the next one. So you have two options. You can either pay $5 and be able to read this one now, or you could pay $50, get it unlocked, or pay $50 up to whatever's left that needs to be paid, and get it unlocked, and then compel me to write the next chapter within a week. So this would compel me to write it. Now, every story that is currently having a weekly release, I am not going to do this for. I'm not going to do sponsorships for these. It's just, I mean, it makes no sense to me have, A, I can't do it smoothly, and B, it makes no sense for this story like My Dungeon Life to get a sponsor chapter, and then for me to have to write. I mean, I have a premium chapter right now I'm supposed to write, but do I write that, or do I write the last two My Dungeon Lives I missed? Because, I missed My Dungeon Life. So, what do you concentrate on when you're actively releasing it? But for every novel that isn't being actively released, so that'll be your Oops, I Banged My Bully's Mom, Rise of the Midnight King. This one's actually going to be finished. He paid for the last of it, so I'm going to write the last of those chapters soon. Just any chapter that's not coming out weekly or bi-weekly or monthly, all of those novels, so all the novels on this list, will have an option for sponsor. They will only get that sponsor if I put the chapter out. So I will put a chapter out, and that'll prompt you to be able to sponsor it. And then once the chapter reaches the full money, then it'll prompt me to be able to write the next chapter. So stories that get sponsored a lot, I'm going to write more for. and stories that don't get sponsored, I'm going to write less for. But this way it actually gets me writing. I can see a very clear support for certain novels, and then that is the way it's going to work. Obviously, stories that are done, finished stories, which once again you tag, because there's completed as an option. Where's completed? Completed. Here's all the novels that are completed. For anyone saying I don't complete anything, there's 11 completed novels. Most of them people paid me like to write a short story. So this novel were all paid for. This one, and that one were all on me. And then these two were actually series that were finally finished. But yeah. So anyway, if that makes sense, that's how I want to do sponsorships in the future. I think it's a neat idea. I think it'll work really well. Oh, by the way, also for anyone who is a member, I want to set it up, and I might not be able to initially, but eventually, to give you guys tokens so that you can get those chapters for free and not have to pay for them. It probably will be starting at $10 and up or something like that you can get, because you need to at least be gold anyway to want to read the most recent chapters that come out. It probably won't add to the $5, the $50. So if you want to get me to write the next chapter, using a token won't do it. But it will allow you to read those chapters without having to pay more money. So I'm not trying to extort more money out of the people who are already paying. I'm just trying to extort money of people who aren't paying. No, I'm joking. No, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to is just make sure that there's a motivation, a clear. You're getting something no matter how much you donate. Well, I'm sure someone's like, well, I want to donate $1. I set it as $5. I did. We're gonna get there in a second, but I had a question along that, and that's kind of how I decided on the system. Let's go forward. Make some progress here. Any other questions? I was just reading any comments. Okay, so what's your favorite story that I've written? This is, people go, oh, why don't you just write the story I like, because that's the story everybody likes. There's your sign right there. Your story is probably not as ubiquitously popular as you think it is. Here's among the non-members. World of Women is currently, and that's only by one vote, so let's be honest here. This isn't like a landslide. But you got, pretty mixed list of what people like, and nothing is setting out winning. So it's kind of difficult to just work on one story and just at the sacrifice of all the other stories. That's why I wanted the sponsor system like I'm doing too. So my main membership, my continuous writing will be supported by you guys, and then that'll allow me to support every novel, because the novels that make the money are going to be the novels that make the extra money, are going to be the novels that the ones that get sponsored are going to be the ones that get extra chapters, and it'll be a very, very, I don't know, I just think it's a good idea. All right, what's moving on? What stories from members only system interest you? All right, here, wait, this one first. If you were to pick up a chapter a week, which story would you want? Most people, I reincarnated here as Barty. That actually wasn't winning originally. I really thought it would be something else. So this one does seem to be the majority. So if I did pick up another story, I would be more inclined to want to pick up I Reincarnated. Rise was actually winning for the longest time. I'm surprised that's shifted so much, because last time when I had 300 people, it was Rise that was the winner, the clear winner. But I don't know, at the same time, I haven't been writing Rise. Like I said, I've been kind of in I guess you could call it a writer's block. Not really a writer's block. I don't call it a writer's block because I know what to write. It's not like I can't write it. It's just, I can't bring myself to tend the time. Part of it just comes because, when I can write a 1,500 word chapter or write a 3,000 word chapter, I can get two 1,500 chapters done in the time it takes to do one 3,000 word chapter. So which one do I work on? I work on the 1,500 words, which I work on the ones I can make quicker progress with. So when I have, I owe Demon's World Brothel, that's shortest chapters. So, My Dungeon Life, those are the shortest chapters. Those are going to be the ones I work on, and at the expense of my 3,000 word chapters. That's kind of how it's always worked, and that's also why those chapters remain the most popular. So, because I'm able to keep rapid releases with those, where the bigger ones, the stories that have 3,000 word chapters, just take longer to write for obvious reasons. What stories from my members only section interest you? Oops, Bang My Only One, that one won, which is kind of funny because it used to be Master and Dragons. This is kind of just like based on the name, which one kind of draws you in the most. And it seems that Oops, I Bang My Only Mom does the job it's the title was intended to do, which is to catch your interest. I actually think this is a good story. I like it. If there was any story I could be writing right now, it would be this one. I deeply enjoy how that story's been progressing. I like the theme, the atmosphere. I like writing a character like that who's, kind of immature and out of his element. It's kind of nice writing the moms being the aggressors. If you've read the story, they're kind of, it's more he's being taken advantage of by them than him just being a horny teen who is out of his element. But at the same time, because they're taking advantage of him, he is gaining confidence and thus becoming more aggressive, which allows him to then conquer other women who are less aggressive. I like the story. It's also, like I said, not jumped. He still hasn't had sex yet. That's not saying there aren't ecky scenes. It's quite erotic, but he hasn't gone all the way yet, even 20 chapters in, because they keep getting interrupted. He's gotten close. They've done just about everything, but he still hasn't done penetration yet. Anyway, which story would you like to see released publicly the most? That's kind of the big one, and there is no clear winner. And that is exactly what I always have a problem. If there was one clear winner here, and really, Automatic Girlfriend or Oops, I'd be considering building that, because I can't do Getting Lucky. Getting Lucky can't really. Well, I originally wrote it specifically to be a membership only novel, and I can't really release it for a couple of reasons. It has to stay locked. But these two I could release at any time. My only big issue with these two is there's not that many chapters out, and they would be all released very quickly. And therein lies. So unless I'm actively writing them, they're not something I'm inclined to want to be put up publicly, because all the chapters would be out within, a couple of months. I'm shocked, how quickly I pop out 20 chapters, even, 20 weeks or but no, you're caught up, nothing else to do. And that's what I did with Rises of the Midnight King. I started releasing that one, but then I got caught up, and I'm just like, I don't got any more chapters, and I just can't even bring myself to write more than 1 or 2 chapters a month. Which I'm sorry for the people who did my sponsorship in December. I had the really cheap $20 sponsorships. I got everything written except Rise of the Midnight King. That I still have about 5 chapters of that left. And the reason I haven't 7 months later I still haven't finished. Mostly I blame bacteria, because when I picked up Bacteria in December to start writing it, I was intending on it being a once a week story and light novel. For whatever reason, they have it built into their system that you can pay a one-time lump sum and permanently increase my release speed, not just for the month, but for indefinitely, for as long as that novel. So they've actually, my novel got boosted multiple times, which you could say, hey, great, but that's like, it was like $100 once or twice. It was not something that's going to change my life, and and now I have to write more than twice a week. It's almost close to 3 times a week I have to write Bacteria, and that is way more than I was planning on writing that. So, I mean, the good news is that it's already on 90 chapters, despite being one of my newest books. You know, it already has a ton of chapters out. I mean, it's almost got as many chapters out as Apocalypse. But the bad news, because they're about the same word count for chapters, but the bad news is that it's not what I intended, and it's also kept me from writing other stuff, because I'll be like constantly having to play catch up, because that one actually it ties into their website. So the chapters release so I can't have a late release with Bacterium. I have to catch it, keep up, or it'll break their system, and they kind of warned me about that when we started. So I have to keep above whatever 4 or 5 chapters ahead at any given time, because that's how their donation system works. Anyone who wants to donate and buy extra chips, I make a little money from it, but it's only like $150 a month. I think the highest I ever made was $400, which is nice for one book, true, but it ultimately, like I said, that permanently forces me to write extra. I think is ridiculous. I mean, boosting me for a month, sure. Boosting you so you're ahead, sure. But to actually force me to have to permanently, for the duration of this book, so the only way I can slow down is by finishing the book, that's insane. Because that pushes me, to do daily. And it's like, I can't do faster. It's, I'm just one guy. But that's how their system built. And I laughed. I'm like, can we undo this? And I'm like, nope, that's how it's set up. I can't go back. So I can finish with them. I could just say, I didn't sign a contract with them, so I could just say, bye-bye, guys, I'm done with you, and release my book on my site. But like I said, I'm still on their homepage, and they still have a ton of books, so they bring me readers. I mean, there's 7 readers. 7 of the 82 that did this response came from light novels, so they have a presence. And a lot of them like reading my stuff, so I don't necessarily want to get rid of them. All right. Why are you currently not a member? Yeah, I don't mind. Even if it's just I don't like your stuff, it's fine. I just ask to kind of be sure. I mean, this is really the one I'm most worried about, not releasing too slow, because I really do want to release stuff on time. I didn't realize you had so much content. That's kind of the goal I have, to bring awareness to people. That's one of the reasons I like doing these surveys, because it brings awareness to people who just didn't know I had stuff before. They only meandered into one book and thought that's all I had. This one is just was curious as to how people would respond to me removing the $2 tier as non-members. And the non-members mostly don't care, obviously. Few people are discouraged from becoming members, thinking the $2 membership is going to be gone. A few people it might encourage to become $2 members, so they're grandfathered in. But this grandfathering in thing, it would keep you from... you'd have to be maintained a member. So all those people who like to play membership tag, because there are people who do that, they'll come in, they'll become a member for 1 month for $2, then they'll quit. 6 months later, they'll come back, become a member for $2, read up everything, that they missed, and then cancel, and then do it again. And just by doing it every 6 months, they can maximize everything they want, and yeah, that's just how they do it. And I'm not saying that's bad. I don't have any problem with people doing that, but this method would force people to at least donate $5, and then they would be not able to progress. It's just economy's changed in the last 6 years, and the $2 tier originally was doing just to be like one book, and you could switch a book every month. But I don't know. There's a lot of people who either don't get how it works or have trouble with it, and it's just felt like it's more trouble than it's worth for $2. So I figure I might as well. And I'm just seeing other sites, and like other sites don't even charge that low. Like most of the people I've seen like charge at a minimum $5. And I know I'm not selling, hundreds of books. I'm only selling a few dozen, but at the same time, I just finding it harder and harder to justify having a $2 tier in this day and age. The reason I have a $2 instead of a $1 was because the fees for having a dollar was to the point I was like not keeping any money anyway. And also, it seems kind of like the less people pay, the more they think they can be a-holes about it. Like the problematic customers aren't the people who pay me $50, $100. They're all so nice, like just so nice, so appreciative, so helpful. But the ones who pay like $1 are just buttheads. Like they expect everything from you and get really angry when you don't provide it. And and $2 kind of the same way. I mean, if I've had people who will call credit card disputes on the $2 and a little bit of information. If you do a credit card dispute through Stripe automatically like charges me $15 for your credit card dispute. So even if I win it, I end up, having, $15 of my money sequestered for months until we face a resolution. And it always resolves on my side. I mean, when you start a membership, I didn't realize it was a membership isn't really a good excuse when you're signing up. Hopefully my site's clear about that, by the way. I could see how back when my site was done the old-fashioned way, how it could be misleading that when it says $5 a month, you thinking it's $5 for 1 month. But now it should be a lot clearer that this is a subscription program. And anyone who doesn't want to be in a subscription, I've been clear that you can donate directly to me. Just contact me and ask. My conditions are you need to be pay in the $5 tier at least 2 months, and I'd accept that. So you can pay a year, you can pay half a year, you can pay 2 months. But if I'm gonna have to set everything up manually, I want at least at least $10 out of it. At least I want to buy a McDonald's meal, Big Mac. Anyway, this is the membership section. So if you had said any of you weren't a member, you would have been redirected here. On a scale of 1 to 10, how satisfied are you? This kind of concerns me. Honestly, I don't expect to be a 10 for everyone, but I expect to do over 7. And if I'm getting that many 5s, I mean, that doesn't tell me you're perfectly content. That tells me you're kind of below content. And maybe that's just people thinking different. Like this person must just be pissed at me. It confuses me because I'd feel like if you didn't feel if I was at least a 5, why would you even be a member? If I was genuinely a 3, like why would you be on my site if it's that horrible of a site that runs that horribly? I don't get. And so 5, I feel, is kind of like at the very bottom of what anyone who continue to be a member would be. You'd be one bad experience away from not being a member anymore. And maybe I'm not seeing it. Maybe that's not how you guys see it. And maybe I should be clear that's how I see it, because like I said, that concerns me. I'm if you're 7s, sure, 70%, that's average, but But a 5 to me is basically saying you that I am barely keeping you as a member, and I don't even know how you're a member if you're marking me a 3. Because at that point, I wouldn't be on a site I was that dissatisfied with. And then, but when I asked people to follow up, I've only got 7 responses out of the 44 who rated it, and the only complaints I got are more consistent releases. That's I'm very clear on, and the schedule has been chaotic, and I was hoping to fix it during the week I had off this month, and I did not. You guys are probably aware more than anyone that I haven't been putting out very much. It's been mostly because I'm working 2 jobs now, and I have been working 60 to 70 hours, and that's not a joke. That is what I've been working. And for orientations and medical training, I got med training, which ended up having me working double shifts, and then I worked and got so I have 2 jobs. One of them has me working as a DSP. That's basically a home health care for disabled people. So I go to a guy's house and watch him, and he's a nonverbal disabled guy. But what's nice about him and his house is that I don't really have a job. I literally just sit there and watch him. I make sure he gets fed. I make sure he gets his pills. But that's no less than I have to do with my own children. So I literally can go there and write, and I get most of the chapters out that I write. I've been writing at his house. My second job, though, is working at a hospital. I'm working as a lab aide, not a lab tech, a lab aide. They got me at the lowest spectrum. They know me as the guy who's ridiculously overqualified. For those of you who know, I have a bachelor's of science in biology, and I have 12 years of experience in the lab. And pretty much am at the level of having a doctorate. I actually spent 8 years earning a doctorate, which I didn't finish because COVID happened. Among other reasons, I procrastinated like hell too. But I ended up leaving that teaching for a while, and now I just can't find a job even remotely that approaches my level of intelligence, and so this is the best thing I've managed to get. And you'd think that sounds horrible that I got this cheap job, but it's still the highest paying job I've ever had because of how much the economy has changed in the last 10 years. So I'm still making more money than I ever made before, but it's a piddling amount for what I should be making for my amount of experience, but I can't get a job anywhere. Every hospital wants very specific hospital style degrees, so they want certification trainings and stuff specifically towards their whatever field, and there's nothing that isn't a hospital near where I moved. That's the main problem. I moved out to the country, so within an hour of me there's nothing. And the hospital's an hour away, so that's a 2-hour drive on top of the 8 hours I work. So yeah, that's been my life, has been driving nonstop. I've been driving so much that I started having this weird itch on my neck, and I eventually realized that's exactly where my seatbelt touches. I'm actually getting seatbelt burn from being in this car so much. But yeah. No, the Automatic Girlfriend was written like 3 years before I did anything with a patient. I didn't do anything with a patient. Let's be serious. And it's a dude too, by the way. Let's not go there. But yeah, I don't know. So that's why I've had inconsistent releases. Is I'm still getting it, trying to get used to today is the only day I have off. Like I work all other 6 days a week, 8 hours a day, 48 hours a week. So, don't need to offend me. It's fine. But yeah, I work a lot, and tomorrow I gotta work early in the morning, so I need to be off here in about an hour, so I can actually get enough sleep so that I can go to work, because I need to be there I need to be up at 4:30 in the morning so that I can be there by 6. Yep. More artwork, more ebook artwork appear in the chapters as part of the reading. See, there's some books I'll do the artwork in the story, but I just don't see myself doing that for every book. I tried to do it for Power of Creation, and it was always kind of just a pain in the butt. I would prefer the galleries that are there in post. My Dungeon Life, for example, how he's doing the gallery is quite nice. More chapters per month. I gotta try. I don't know if I can put out more. I know I'm not putting out as much as I should be, and it's mostly just like I said because of me getting used to the new. I should be over the overtime now, so next week should be a normal week for me for what that job entails. And I don't plan to do this indefinitely. I'm just doing this until I can get some of our debts paid off, because we pretty much got into a lot of debt after the move, and the last couple of years have been pretty hard on us. So with how much I was making with this business, it would have been fine, but then the business cut in half the amount I was making, and I just wasn't able to maintain what I was maintaining. I ended up getting us into a fair amount of debt. I want to try to get us out of. We're still, there's just a ton of things that we basically moved into a beater upper home, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done to fix it up, and every single thing costs several $1,000s. So it's just a long, arduous process of getting things fixed. But when I had the time, I didn't have the energy, and now that I'm working all the time, and I don't know, it's a mess. But it is getting fixed. I'm paying into taxes again, and I'm paying into getting our debts paid off. So hopefully by the end of the year, I'll be able to. And who knows if Patreon stuff kick up and recover, and I'm start making another $3,000. I mean, all this work I'm doing only makes about $3,000 a month, which is honestly how much I made from Amazon.com in my Prime. So if my memberships kicked up and I started making $3,000 more, that's all it would take, and then I wouldn't even need the jobs. Although I still do want to keep the hospital job because of the insurance. That was actually the main reason. If you guys kicked up, I would definitely quit the other job, the DSP job. As much as I like it, as much as it gives me time to write, I really do want to be, what do you call it? I want to write, or I want insurance. I want to be able to cover insurance for my family. And unfortunately, jobs don't give me a lot of room for that. Release merch on your red. I've thought of merch. I've tried merch. I have not seen a lot of success with merch. I don't know. I just not see a lot of people look like they wanted to buy the merch. I mean, it's already kind of an erotic merch in the first place. I tried to do a calendar once, and that didn't work out so well. I've tried to hire people deliberately to work on the merch sections of stuff, and that never seemed to go anywhere. And I was like, I need to hire someone dedicated to just setting that stuff up for me, because I don't have the time to set it up for myself. I mean, it would almost be a full-time job for several weeks getting that that a storefront set up and running where I could sell stuff. And while I certainly have enough art now to do it, so Redbubble just does it yourself. You don't need to stock anything. I'll look at Redbubble. I don't know what that is, but I'll check it out. I don't know. But like you said, if it's going to take a lot. Well, yeah, I know, but you still have to design every item, right? Yeah, it's not about stocking. That's the problem. I mean, I use Zazzle. That's the one I was more interested in. But you still have to assemble the products and then set them up in a way that they'll sell through your business, and then you have to advertise that business. Making the products itself takes time because you have to decide on prices. You have to decide on what art you want to use. You have to design the art you want to use. A lot of that is like photoshopping work to design the art. Like I said, you basically need another person. I could start with stickers, but I've tried before and nothing's sold, so I don't know. Like I said, I've had stuff up on my site back before I did the redo. I had a store, and I didn't have a lot of stuff on the site, but I did have one or two things, and they never sold. I never sold a single item. I'd love to do what do you call them too? Comic-Cons. I could go to the Comic-Cons and sell my books, but then I would need to get my books printed out. And so that's another process would take a lot of time. It's just everything takes time, and I don't have the time. I'm gonna pick up one chapter a week. What story would be? That's pretty much everything. How do you feel about? So this is the same as you guys. Membership is the same. There's just no specific story. You guys just have a slight leaning towards a second Women's Pleasure Dungeon or a second chapter of Apocalypse, while they had a leaning towards I Reincarnated, which is weird. Well, I guess I did release it for free, so they did read it. But so you can see how there's no real consistency where I have a single where I know what book I could release that would make the most people happy, because everyone wants a little bit of everything. How do you feel about gallery images? Most people are fine with me releasing them. Most people don't mind that I use AI to make them. A few people want better quality, but for the most part, you're all satisfied with it, which is good for me. I really don't know how to make them better. As much as APF STS wants to get on my ass about it, I don't know how to improve them or make them better. This is the best. He keeps saying, oh, go use Mudsummer because they're beautiful. It's like, but those are you're already taking the best they produce, and using that as your you can't just pick out of a bucket. It's like, yeah, if you're just gonna pick the best of the best, it's gonna look nice. I'm sure if I put into the best of Novel AI, those would look nice too. They're not ones I produced, but I'm sure at some point Novel AI put out something really powerful of the 10,000, 20,000 pictures they generate a day. I wish they contained more erotica. I'm actually surprised by that. I thought I was getting away from being an erotic author, and it seems that there's still a lot of people who want me to have erotica in my stories. But yeah, I think most people don't really care too much about the art, but they're happy with more art coming out. But that takes time too, so I'll get to them when I get to them. I can't really produce art until I'm caught up with writing, and I can't really catch up with writing until I get a handle on other things. So we'll see how it goes. How do you feel about the new website? Most people are generally positive. I'm very curious about the ones who think it's worse than before. Like, what were you looking for, or do you just hate change? Because I think it's an improvement. I'm happy with what we ended up coming up with. What feature would you like added to the site the most? The Discord bot is up and running. She's had a few glitches where she hasn't been announcing anything but My Dungeon Life. So this will mention stuff. These are now up in gold. I like that it tells you how to do that. World of Women got announced, but some of the other stuff hasn't been announcing. He's looking into why that is, because I swear I put out other stuff that hasn't announced properly. I'm gonna keep a good look on this and see. But he's got things. So instead of being super annoying with the announcements, just anything you do within a certain amount of time, it'll announce it once. Unfortunately, if I'm just fooling around and fiddling with titles, it will sometimes trigger too. But that doesn't happen too often. So hopefully you guys can use this. I'd eventually like something similar on X, so that Twitter announces them as well. But right now I don't have anything like that or any idea of how to do that. Oh, I'm not showing you what I'm looking at. I was looking at this. Here's the Discord. Do you see it? You don't see it, do you? Discord. No, it shows up. Okay, you do see it. You guys are lagged behind me. So yeah, I'm just this puts up all that stuff. You get tagged if you happen to have the notification. There's the notification right there, and yeah, it's better than it was, I think. Although Watchhand 2.0 was eventually going to replace Watchhand completely. We got to port her features over to the new Watchhand as time goes on. Anyway, moving on. I said we'd be done by 9. We'll probably be done by 9. What tier level is your membership? That's kind of a mixed bag, but I use that also to sort people into specific questions. What are your thoughts on the change? The change this would be getting rid of just the tip. Most people would maintain, but some people claim they'd stop being a member. I find that weird. I guess you guys are the ones who'd stop being a member, the ones who are $2 for a month, then they disappear, then they become $2 for a month. That's probably the ones. I think in general that the fact this is equal just tells me that that'd be a net gain, because if these guys are willing to remain, then I don't think it matters. That's not a few people quit. I don't think it's a big deal. How do you feel about the value of the chronic masturbator tier? Most people feel they get their worth. I'm always curious about the ones who say they don't feel like they're getting their worth, but unfortunately I never find out why. How do you feel about losing premium polls? Most people are fine with the fact they lost the premium polls. Here's like one somebody picked other, but then didn't say anything. So it's just like, it's basically like throwing your vote away, clicking other. I don't know why people do it. How do you feel about the value of this tier? Most people are satisfied. I think that's normal. If there's a sudden big surge of people saying they weren't satisfied, then I'd be concerned. Should I tighten the available stories for premium? So those of you who didn't have this question, basically I was asking, I have the premium poll, which I haven't put out in the last 2 weeks. I'm going to pull it out today, I promise. And I'm going to have it do for the top two are going to win. For that'll make up for last week, me forgetting to do premium poll. Anyway, I was busy. I was going on a full. I worked, basically nonstop for 2 weeks. That was like my one day off, and I was just completely dead. Anyway, should I tighten the available stores for premium? Well, I was asking basically, do you want to when I originally started it, I would have themes. So the first week it would be themed. the releasing stories. What story would you like to see? Then it was, the concepts. Which story would you like to see? And then stuff like that. And people like that. Some of them. Others, I was just asking, should it be serialized stories? Should I focus on non-serialized stories? Should I alternate between, or should I keep what I have? Which I just basically have a big list. What I don't have on there anymore, which some people I think want, are the concept stories. So I have I don't know. I guess I can show for people who don't know this. Some of the posts or some of the stories I have. I'm still sorted by tags, aren't I? Is there any way to just not be sorted? There we go. Older posts. So this is where I post all my concepts. These are stories that have not been written, but they're not been picked up for any length of time. They've not had a standard release time, but that I've written chapters for based on people's requests. Some of them have quite a few books. Something Familiar here has 4 chapters. Untitled Zombie Story got 3. Friend Zone, I think, got 4. Yeah. All Hail the Demon King got 3. NTR Insakai. This one is actually, I'm thinking of turning this one into its own novel. I know it only has 2, but those 2 are actually 10,000 words each. I'm thinking of breaking it down into chapters that are organized by parts, and then that's going to be the structure of that story. I already have a book cover made for it that I want to use as well. This one got 3 chapters. Modern Warfare got 2. Watchan this is where Watchan's silly songs and stuff went. Although I'm missing most of them, I probably should go fetch them and bring them on here. These were fan fiction stuff I wrote. This one was on the request of a donator, and this one I just felt like doing it. I was hoping it would actually garner me some popularity, but through extension of the popularity of the story, but that didn't end up happening. It never got popular, which was a shame. And then these are all just mostly one shots. I've been wanting to. I have about, I'm always having concept chapters in my brain, so there are new ones that I have not developed yet. Some of these will change. This is finished. This is basically a finished story that really should be given its a whole new novel. The Experiment, that also is basically has its own novel, requires its own novel, but I haven't done that yet. But some of these, they're just one story. Some of them are more. Some of them are just reworking or rewrites. I've wanted to write a Devil High School story that's kind of from my Machine Sliced Bread. That's where I started out, by the way. There's probably new people here who don't know my origins. I started out writing on Machine Sliced Bread, who has not as big as they used to be, but here's my little section I cut out of it. I actually started their original section. This didn't exist before me, but yeah, there's a bunch of stories there. What was I even trying to say? I was wanting to write a story like Enma. I don't know where it is nowadays. If it was dropped, or Enma no Hado, which is some guy gets some teacher basically gets some evil devil ability and then starts seducing all of his students. I kind of wanted some kind of story like that, just like a high school devil story where the guy gets some kind of power, and so I've tried to rewrite that story 4 times now. So the Devil Snare is one of those. High School times Devil times NTR is another one. Friend Zone is a third version, And then I think there's actually two friend zones. Both of these are two different attempts at it. So yeah, I have a lot of different attempts to try to write that, and I've never like they've been okay, but I've never really like none of them really like moved me. Where like yeah, this is the one I'm gonna put my work into, and so yeah, these are just really hellbound. Although I have two new concepts, I'll throw them your way too, just for fun. So my everything. Fireman, and he always admired. got now? That was weird. I don't know. Hey, you guys hear me? Because I've been talking for a while without realizing you guys didn't have access. It doesn't timestamp, so I don't even know how long. Well, bummer. I just told you all my secrets, and now you didn't hear any of them. I was talking about, I don't know how, is it? I don't know how far back. You don't know. It keeps cutting out. I don't know why it's doing that. My cord's not very. I'm going to try and not touch my cord. That seems to not want to work. I'm just going to leave this open from now on so I can see when OBS cuts out, when it doesn't cut out. I don't know. My cord is an old beat up cord, and I think it's just seeing its limit. My keyboard code was broken the same way, and now I'm using a cord that's way too short for it. I need new cords. Anyway, I see I'm still working. All I was talking about was concept chapter. I was saying, here are my concept chapters. I don't know how much you guys missed, but these are all the stories that I could write. And some of them I get to a fairly good amount written. And I was mentioning some stories that I had come up with. A story I'd like to write about a fantasy-fueled apocalypse. But you guys might not have heard about that story. Oh well, I'm gonna move forward though. I want to be done. I only got about 20 minutes left, so you'll have to hear the story about that sometime later. Maybe I'll write a chapter about it if I ever catch up. That's the problem. I can't write concept chapters, or I don't feel right writing concept chapters when I have so much other stuff delayed. But whatever. There you go. I'll just move the screen a little. Yeah, I have a lot of different versions. I don't know if that was right when I was cutting out. Was the high school and devil snare, um, friend zone. They're all devil gives some high school kid a power that allows them to basically seduce all the women. And I just still really haven't settled on a story I really like with that plot. I did come up with one though, which includes more incest, because I've been hearing from the surveys a lot of people want incest. And I don't mind, or I like those stories, so I'm they're kind of one of the taboos I like to write. But I was thinking of basically the guy is with his basically he's an abused fat guy who has a wife and or not a wife, he has a mother and sisters who are basically borderline abusive to him. And then after he signs his devil contract, what he gets is the ability to change one trait a day. And he can either delete a trait or add a trait. And he can delete or add it to himself, or he can delete and add to other people. And basically the traits would be a mixture of feelings, personality, behavior, change I do not seem to. I don't know. I'm having a heck of a trouble here. I can't find a new cable, so I'm just gonna try to get by with this one. I'm just gonna make it quick in this session, quickly. So sorry about that. I can't find it. I had a second printer. It uses a printer style cable. I had a second one. I don't know where it went. I don't have any plans for a slime girl with him, so that's fine. I don't plan to add any girls, honestly. Alright. How much I concern myself with erotic content. This is kind of more erotic stories. That's kind of where I got that. Which stories have you read or are reading? That's kind of just telling me where the interests lie. And like I said, there's nothing else that sticks out besides my dungeon life, maybe World of Women. But it is telling when you see something like Man of the House is still doing better than Apocalypse when it hasn't had a new chapter in over, a year. So I do have a desire to put out another story like Man of the House, another gender bender story. And that was one of the ideas that had been floating around my head. I actually wrote one concept story for it, and I didn't really announce it, so it was released low key, but it's right here. Which is basically, it's about a guy who he basically he ends up reincarnating in a world of fantasy, and basically he's a what do you call it, a white mage, but it's a world where boys are white mages and girls do all the man jobs. So it's kind of like a sexist, female dominated world where men have the social norm has been flipped. So the entire story, like the first chapter, at least the concept behind the first chapter, was that you don't hear the sex of anybody until the very end, and then it's revealed, that it's a boy, but he also gets raped by the monsters. so it begins with monster rape. So it's because you know how they have the ogres and the orcs will rape the white mage after killing the rest of the party. So it has that happen, but the genders are flipped. So it's I regarded a world of switched gender norms. That was the click. But I didn't get any comments from it. I don't even know if anyone's even aware it came out. But that was the general idea behind it, and I kind of like the idea, but I would like that, but we'll see. Am I still sound okay? Which stories have you read or are reading? We already did that. People that they gave up on and why you gave up on it. NDR Crush, stop reading because of paywall. I'm pretty sure there's no paywall anymore, so you should be able to read the whole thing without paying for anything. So many characters, yeah. Well, it's a story with a lot of characters. I gave up on hotness when you did the gender swap. This is one I find weird. The gender swap doesn't happen until like volume 5, and it's like happens for 5 chapters. It's like it's a cutaway gag. Like, I don't get why that would put someone off the entire story. Like I said, unless he's talking about just the fact that it's a female with a male harem. If he means that girl with the male harem story, I mean, yeah, it's reverse harem or whatever you want to call it. But I don't know. There is a physical gender swap in the story, but like I said, it's barely there. Like I said, it's done purely as a joke, and like then they go back. It's not like it doesn't even last a full volume. It's like, I don't know, whatever. Still, involved in getting lucky. Updates stopped for a long time after I got where I was in the story. Yeah, I've forgotten with Enslaved too. I would have to go back. That's gonna be a bummer starting the next volume. But once I finish WoW, that's where that one's gonna go. This is beyond frustrating because I'm not even touching the cord here. I mean, this is just doing it on its own. Does anyone know what that means? My dungeon life, I didn't give up the story forever, but I lost interest heavily after the Demon King's girlfriend killed everyone and the hero just revived everyone. I don't even know what they're talking about. There hasn't been a Demon King's girlfriend. I mean, there hasn't been a demon. There's a Demon Lord, but he never had a girlfriend. Unless they're talking about the main character. I legitimately don't know what the story is talking about. Who... yeah, maybe Shao, Demon King girlfriend would be not how I would describe her. Okay, I don't. I have no clue what they're talking about. It's almost like they read a different book. The only time he revived everyone, and I had someone mention they didn't like this, was that when he goes onto the boat in the Yandere. So this is even a side chapter. This is even something you'd read if you were a member. He kills all the guards, and then afterwards, and he gets Shao back. He does that grand spell and he revives them all. And apparently they didn't like that. I had somebody saying that makes him seem like a pussy. And I'm like, what? Just because he brought them back? I mean, doesn't that show he's basically omnipotent and all powerful and he can literally control your life and death and that it's meaningless to him? I mean, that's how I'd interpret it. But he thinks it makes him look like a bitch because he didn't just leave everybody dead. And there were still people left dead, like the people he had killed initially. I don't know. I thought that was just a weird take. He was the same guy who helped me. I'm like, I trust his opinion on some stuff. He was helping me with Man of the House. He was trying to give me advice because that was the other complaint with Man of the House, was that the main character is too much of a pussy, that he was too girlified, and I was trying. In my edits, which will eventually come out in my finished book, I'm gonna try to make him come off as manlier, I guess, and less feminized. When I wrote the book originally, is kind of my feeling that you kind of act the way you're presented. It's always been kind of my running theory. Like I feel a lot of teachers act immature because they're around kids all day, and so they start to kind of act like they're kids. And you act like the people you're around, and so if you're going to be in this world where you're going to be treated as a girl and every guy acts girly, you're going to start to act a little bit feminine. And I think that was the very point of it, was that he got in touch with his feminine side so he could understand women better. So when he came back to the real world, he was able to treat the women properly and understand them better, and that's why he was able to be so successful. And I thought that was the point of the story. But for people and their wish fulfillment needs, they didn't like where I went with that, and some of them just generally don't agree that they would never act weak or meek or innocent in a world where they could take advantage of that. Like, okay, then you're dumb. But that's you'd be pretty dumb not to take advantage of it if that was how the world was. But okay, sure, you're a manly man. You'll always be a manly man, and no one can take your manliness away from you. We got you. But I do want the story to be more accessible to people, and there was enough complaints about it that I'm willing to change a few words if that made people feel he was too girly or too meek. Have him be a bit more aggressive, a bit more authoritarian, and a bit less submissive. That's the thing. Sometimes I'll write submissive scenes, and sometimes I'll write aggressive scenes, and I try to vary things up. But then there's some people who just hate submissive scenes. They just can't tolerate the idea that the woman, like I said, that's why I like writing Oops, I Bang My, because the woman's usually the more aggressive in those confrontations, although it tends to swing back and forth based on who he's dealing with. But yeah, I don't know. And we still got sound? Good. Alright. Is there any story on this list that would donate more to see Oops, I Bang My? I mean, that's pretty telling with these two. I'm honestly surprised Automatic Girlfriend doesn't get up on that list, but these are the two I most have fun writing, so I'm glad that people laugh the most. They're the most I would like to bring back, and it looks like people want to see them being brought up. But for the moment, they might be sponsored, and it might be done through that sponsoring method. When is that sponsoring method going to be seen? Hopefully by the end of summer. I don't know. He's working as fast as he can work on getting the things I want done. The sponsor bar is going to be the next on the list after he's got my scraper done. So once I can start scraping the site again. That's fun to see. Interiors guy has at least got one person who likes it. Somebody's been paying for it, so that's why I occasionally write new stuff. But am I cut out? Nope. Still got stuff. Yay! Are you interested in returning to the cycling novels? I was curious if people wanted this. About a quarter, or I guess you'd say half of the people who have an opinion want it brought back. At least, maybe 2/3 even. So I might bring it back. I might alternate it with Getting Lucky or whatever STD. So you know what I might do, and you might find this on the next newsletter. I might do Oops once a week. I might do Oops, Women's Pleasure Dungeon, every month, and then I might do Getting Lucky twice a month, or STD right now. I'm still not sure if I want to go back to Getting Lucky right now. Sometimes I just need a break from that story. It's just kind of a story that goes nowhere and does nothing, and it's supposed to just be people, screwing around, screwing off. So I mean, it's not intended as a story to really be deep, or it's just whatever sticks goes. That was kind of how the story was written from the get-go. So it has no real meaty plot that's heading anywhere. But I do need to get through the stories I fall into, and right now I'm kind of into the haunted story. But then I realized after I started the haunted story that I had already did a haunted story, so I made it a joke that it's basically repeating the haunted story they already did. Because remember the demonic child and everything? It's like, I already had a haunted hotel, now I'm having a haunted inn. It's like, I already did this, man. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. But, no, it's, like I said, I just made a joke with that. That's all being repetitive. So I need to find some way that it doesn't end up being repetitive and actually ends up being more interesting. But, yeah, so I'll do cycling. That's fine. I didn't get too much protest there. And if people see these two picked up, they might be happy. And I'll be happy because I like riding them. Although if I pick them up, I don't know. Should I continue to sponsor? For once a month, I think it's fine to leave them as a sponsor too. Anyway, moving on. How much time we got? Negative 1 minute. Are you interested in returning them? We did that. If one release could be dropped for this, which would it be? Most people aren't willing to lose anything. Bacterium seems to be the most to be willing to drop, but that doesn't really say much. Like I said, there's a lot of people who are want it. As many people want it as don't want it. So I don't know. Which nodule would you sponsor chapter if there's a sponsor button? My Dungeon Life. You see, that's the problem. My Dungeon Life's already being released as fast as my Dungeon Life can be released. Being released 5 times a week. And you're like, I would do more. I would do more. It's like, but it's not going to come to the end. It's, there's so many chapters to write. I still got probably 3 or 4 volumes left of just my current arc. And then there's going to be the new arc. And, it's just, I don't know. People want to sponsor dumb things that are already coming out. But I get it. That hasn't come out. You want to see it. You want to see it continue. You'll sponsor it. I get that. But when it's already coming out 5 times a week, what do you think a 6th time is going to make a fucking, excuse my language, is going to make a difference? Here's the sponsor button what I was talking about. Most people said they didn't want to spend more than, $10. Obviously, I think if that was $1, half of them would select that. But $5, I figure, is a good settle. If you pay $5, you get to read it. You can donate less, but I just don't see, if you donate $1, someone else is going to come in and, it's not, you're not helping anybody. I feel $5 is a solid amount, especially considering how they take money out for every transaction. Because I lose 10% of that money just to PayPal, and that's before the government takes another 30%. So if you think of how much money I'm losing, quite a bit of money. The government wants 30%, the PayPal wants 10%, and then there's the transfer fees. They'll charge you transfer fees and stuff too. Sometimes PayPal doesn't, but I know Patreon charges you a transfer fee sometimes. I don't know. Would you be willing to sponsor a story if you could just donate a few dollars towards a growing tally? Yeah, so this kind of shaped, I already made the decision, but this kind of shaped how I wanted the sponsor button to be. So like I said, it's going to be, you donate to get now, or use your tokens. So it might be something like $10 and up get a token. $15 gets 2 tokens. 25 gets 3 tokens, and then if you're $50 or up, you get infinite tokens. You can basically read whatever you want. So that's kind of one more level of benefit you would get on these stories, being able to push those forward. But the tokens would not contribute to the $50 that would get the next chapter reading. For that, it would need to be money. And then this was my question about light novel. What I already mentioned, how I have issues with light novel. Should I remain with light novel? Most people thought I should. If there was an overwhelming saying no, I would strongly consider no. But there are 6 people who read there, so that almost negates this is the 5 that don't like it, because who gives a crap what you think about it? and then there's because if you don't like it, what does it matter what your opinion is about where it's hosted? And then so I'm gonna leave it the way it is when it's that blatant. Should I change the time I spend on it? Most people don't think I should change the time either. There are some people that I should write less, but also there's some people that I should write more. And then obviously, like I said, once again, the ones who want me to stop writing completely don't really matter. If I wrote less bacteria, what would you want replaced? I mean, that's kind of a gleaming out of what, kind of asking the same question, which question. Now, it's funny that they swap. So up here, it says that the one people want the most is "Oops, I Banged My Bully's Mom," but down here, it's Women's Pleasure Dungeon that wants the most. So I don't know how that works. Art, I didn't want to ask too much questions about art. I'm pretty settled on what the art's going to be. As much as my fighting with certain people on Discord's about, I think generally what I'm going to do for art's been settled. I just want to make sure opinions haven't changed. Most people don't give a crap or have no problem with AI art. I got one person who has an issue. Are you generally content with art being produced for book covers? It's as good as, there's a few people who want better quality, but I have a feeling that no matter how good of a quality I produce, it'd never be enough. The fact that over 80% are generally consider it as good, if not better, I think that's good enough. Did you know I have a website? Yeah, this is where you'd go if you weren't familiar. If you had marked back there that you don't read my books or you only read one, and all it really is there to do is just to say, hey, I exist. And what do you think of these decisions I'm making? And then you got your conclusions, and that's going to have all the... so there's a lot of things about my site, but it still doesn't have a mobile app, and I just showed you the mobile app got put up. I think I showed him this. I think that's why he probably put the mobile app up, is because somebody made that comment. I don't think it needs to really be up there. I think the mobile and stuff could both be in contact. I might need to change the name of the contact page. I might change... Am I still... Yeah, ooh, I'm still not cut off. That's good. I might change the name of contact to... I don't know. What would be a good name for it? That would have all the socials down here. Because I'd like the Discord down here, and I could probably put the Android app too. Because I'm just trying to keep things as clean as possible, and just not. I kind of don't want those there, to be honest. I was kind of happy with only 3 and then your menu. But I don't think that needs to be. I don't know what to call it otherwise, though. That would make it clear. It would have stuff like your Android app in it, though. I don't have a good name. For some of the older lores, a few chapters would be nice. If you mean the ones that I'm not currently writing, well, just people keep asking for other stuff. I don't put... Site randomly kicks me out on a weekly basis. I mean, yeah, it's going to unsign you out, especially if you clear your cookies or whatever. It probably has more to do with your browser than it has to do with me. I don't think it's my site that does it. I think it's you guys that, however you have your thing set up. Mine's been doing it, but I don't think it's my website that's the problem. This is hopefully getting fixed. Sometimes when there's a post chapter, I've been trying to fix those. That's indexing problem. What happens is we originally had everything automatically uploaded, and some things just didn't upload right, and some volumes are out of order. So it's usually a shift from one volume to the next volume that things get freaked up. It's not that difficult to fix because you got your form right here. But I am aware of that there have been problems between volumes. So if I go whatever to and then try to, I mean, for you guys it's not that difficult to just click to the next volume. But sometimes when you click next, it won't go to volume 3. It'll jump to volume 1. But this one I think set in the right order. Some of them got upset and not put in the right order. There's just issues with how it was ordering things before, and he was able to fix that. But since then, I haven't gone through every novel. My digital assistant was supposed to go through every novel, but she's done some and then not done others. I don't know. I'm debating not keeping her because she's not really pulling her weight, in my opinion. My editor's been great. My tech guy has been okay, but I don't really feel like she's been pulling her weight as a digital assistant. She does do all the releases online, and that is a lot of work. But that's only like 8 hours of work, and then you're done. It's not like... But then again, I'm not paying her a ton either, so I don't know. It'd just be nice if I was seeing more progress with the other stuff I was asking her to do. And did I knock out my... Nope, I still have audio somehow. Okay. I just bumped into it. Alright, Wise Less chapter. The Reese ticker seems to be broken. Yes, that is stuck, and I mentioned that at the beginning. The layout seems to clash with Opera and Chrome. Well, I'm running Chrome, and it looks fine with me. I did get rid of the scrolls. So he's basically complained that whenever you click it scrolled. I fixed that. That's no longer happening. And you still see there's formatting issues, like this is not formatted right, clearly. That's not supposed to be like that. The only way to fix it is to manually copy and paste every single chapter. And that's a time thing. That's something my digital assistant should be doing. But she does it very, 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 very slowly. Unless I'm constantly hitting the whip over her head. Like I said, I wish she'd take some initiative and just, she knows it needs to be done and just kind of makes a habit of doing a couple every day until it's done. That would be fine with me, but I know she just sits on it and doesn't do anything unless I'm actively hitting a whip over her head. And like I said, I'm thinking of getting a new digital assistant because she's not been putting out like I would like her to. She doesn't pick up new stuff very quickly. You kind of have to walk her through every step, and when she does, it's you really have to kind of constantly be on her, or she doesn't do stuff. Just started, so no comments, no. Needs to be once a month. Well, we just discussed that. That's going to happen. On the previous version of the site, the bottom of it had a list of all the recent updates and stories. It's not going to be on every page. It's on the home page. I cleaned it up by not having it on every page, but that's it. It's right there. And you can also get it through here, right here. Alright, I have been reading MDL and R for a while on Skrilla, but stayed away from your website because it didn't always unlock chapters right away. It was kind of clunky when trying to find where I was at, and wasn't always farther than... I told her to make sure that on my site is farther, but it will be clunky. It releases in clunks, because it's not like I sit there manually unlocking stuff. So it does. I do unlock in clumps of chapters usually, instead of going every day and making sure the next chapter is unlocked. And I know that's not the greatest, and I would love to have a scheduler that automatically changes the tier, which he will build for me eventually. As long as I got the tech guy working for me, I'm going to keep having him change stuff. And eventually, I should get a means of scheduling tier changes so that can happen like clockwork as well. But until that's rebuilt, nothing's going to be smooth. Releases can be smooth, but but changes in tier can't be. Any other comments? Good work. People are generally nice with the comments. I do appreciate the comments. This is kind of one of the few times I get positive feedback from people. 90% of the time, it's usually somebody complaining about something not working. It's hard to be subscribed through Patreon, but you're probably making more money off me. Yeah, the LNT is kind of ridiculous of being, well, what you consider up to date with bacteria, but considering I don't post it ahead on my site, it's saying it's up to date is like their future chapters. It's what their scheduling money thing is. I get that it's really a lot, but that's how LNT does it, and as I'm releasing through LNT, that's how their system works. That's how all their books are scheduled. It has nothing to do with me. A mechanism. So yeah, I'm just reading it. He's saying $40 is good because he's saying like on light novel here. Did I lose light novel? Should still be there. I don't even know what light novel it is. Is it this one? No, it's not this site. Well, I don't even know where I put light novel. But not important. You already saw. I showed her you earlier. That site. So not only do they charge $40 to just one story get ahead of you, but they also cover it, just smother it in ads. Like I said, I don't really like them either. But like I said, it's one of the few ways I can get new readers. If you're going to light novel to read that book, that's probably how you found out about my books in the first place. So that's why I'm using them. I don't like how they do stuff. I think it's exploitative, but that's how they do it. Just like how Web Novel does their stuff is how Web Novel does their stuff. They do actually nag me, Web Novel. They try to get me to do other stuff, and I've led them around a few times, but I mostly ignore them. I don't plan to do their stuff. I just want to emphasize that you make my week or month a little better with your stories. That's pretty nice. On the update AI part, my actual choice would have been yes, update them, but keep both images. Yeah. My only problem with keeping both images is that I was doing that originally, and then people kept complaining about the art. Because the original art I kept for Power of Creation was pretty bad. I don't know if some of you aren't aware of what my art originally looked like. So as much as you go on Discord and you hear all the complaints about how badly my art looks, like this is what my art used to look like. Like this was originally my images. Let me see if I can find one that isn't going to get me demonetized here. This is how it might have looked in the past. Like that was the level of art I was getting. This my erotic images used to be at do I have it? Do I even have an image like that? I'm trying to see if I have any of the ones that aren't see, I have them, but I'm trying to see if I have any that aren't gonna get me in trouble. But that was the level of art I used to have. It's just just So, that's what I've moved up from. So as much as they're acting like I haven't improved my art. But I used to leave that stuff on, and then people would complain, like, your art looks ugly, or that art looks ugly. I'm like, yeah, that's because it was from 3 years ago. And, when I was making $50 on Patreon a month, and that was the entire amount. I reinvested all of that money into the art just to give you guys something a little nicer. And yeah, so that's why I'm not keeping them anymore, because people will take them and then they'll judge my entire art based on, I'm not, don't try to open any of those links. I wouldn't trust that with a 10-foot fork. Well, the reason I decided to write, so it got him writing. That's cool. That's an awesome story. Hope it works out. Thank you for all the hard work you do. Put more of MDL on Amazon so I can buy them there. I would love to. It's right now, the only reason I haven't put out more is because I haven't been able to scrape it from my site, and I don't have the time to just do copy paste 80 times. So I'm waiting for him to build my scraper, which will allow me to generate manuscripts again. I'm going to be done in 10 minutes. I'm already on the final questions. It'll be a 2.5 hour stream. Half of it, of course, it's no audio, so that's fun. I kind of wish we didn't skip over Shao in my dungeon life, even if not a lot happened, given a couple paragraphs instead. Nothing would have felt more natural with the series pacing otherwise. Yeah. I could slip in a paragraph to just kind of, week passed, I was able to recover Shao and just leave it at that. I mean, he's obviously, I don't think he's aware that there's an entire, there's an entire volume written that didn't skip over Shao. I don't think he's probably a free from Scribble Hub, and he's probably not aware of the bonus volume that has all of that. So, yep, there you go. Love your books. I just want to say that you're doing a pretty good job. So, thank you. Less graphic sex stuff with women's pleasure. That's what Pleasure Dungeon is. That's why I put it. That's why I put Pleasure Dungeon on Machine Sliced Bread, because I wanted to make sure it was 100% that you knew this was a schmutt novel coming in, that there was no question of that. That is why I did that. Sorry, that's this one I was reading. Slows down the pace and detracts a lot from the dark humor. It's a story called Women's Pleasure Dungeon. It's about sex. Happy is enough for one deal and yes, as people who like to read the story, I'm also someone who would often skip through sex scenes. I would not read sex scenes personally. I've told people in the past, I am not an adult. I don't read adult content. I write it, but I do not read it. I would skip it for the most part. And, well, that's fine, and I get it, but there are tons of people who want to read that, and that's what they come for. And I even got the stats up above to prove it, so not much I can do about that. Plus, it's on Machine Sliced Bread, which is literally an erotica. That's what that site is about. Actually, that site's about, translations or machine translations of erotic light novels, but good enough. I'll really appreciate if you did audiobooks. I would really love to do audiobooks. I've tried to do audiobooks before, and it's always kind of not quite worked out. The main things that get in the way of it are people's expectations. A lot of people want it to be just some, complete audio drama. Every time I ask or do a survey on it, a lot of people seem to expect some kind of audio drama with sound effects and women's voices and maybe moaning in the background if it's an erotic scene. I mean, just the level they want is preposterous. And most people who want audiobooks just want this thing damn read off the thing. I considered doing it myself for a while, and being an audio writer, I just wasn't that good at it. I don't know. I would like to get it done. I would love to have some audiobooks. But once again, it would just be, I'd have to find someone to hire whose job it is just to make it. And someone I could afford, and that's really the big thing. And they're very, very, very expensive. You're absolutely right. It's about $2,000 to get just one book done. Like getting volume 1 of my Dungeon Life done would be $1,000. And then each volume after would be probably more, because my Dungeon Life Volume 1 is not a very big volume. Most of the other volumes are larger. So it would be a lot of money. And it would and it would sell. I mean, it would make money, but how much it made would be questionable. I also wanted to do hardcovers, and I started to make those, but Amazon banned my volume 1 of my Dungeon Life, and I don't know what to do since they banned it. Like, I don't know how to fix that, because they don't give you a measure of like redoing it or changing it or anything. So once it's a banned book, it's like just gone. And for whatever reason, they banned the book, the written words, but they didn't ban the novel, the digital novel. So my digital novels are fine, but even if I start generating the other books, I wouldn't have volume 1, and no one else would, and so that leaves me kind of flummoxed about what I'm supposed to do about my Dungeon Life. Anyway, what else we got? Your stories have got me through rough times. I appreciate. I really am happy if my books do help people. Hopefully not help them live out horrible debut fantasies, but hopefully more help you get through whatever life in general. I appreciate it. I would suggest you keep releasing on other sites. I have a digital assistant who's supposedly releasing on Scribble Hub and Royal Road and Web Novel. And if she's not releasing properly, let me know, because that's really the only way I really do know if there's a mistake or not, is if someone tells me, because I don't have the time to go and check. If I had to go behind and check every editor and assistant that's working for me, then that would defeat the purpose of hiring editors and assistants. So, I have to trust them to do their job. And I only know if they're not doing their job if I hear from somebody. So, if stories aren't releasing like they should be releasing, like I said they should be releasing, let me know. Contact me. All it takes is a DM or an email. Sometimes I might not get back to you or respond, but I'll usually get to the problem eventually if I have time. All right, that's the survey. It was only 82 responses, so you kind of have to take everything we learned here from the grain of salt. I think my big takeaway is the sponsors, how I want to do the sponsorship. I'm probably, after looking at it, and I really decided just now, I'm probably going to bring these two as once a monthers, but they're probably going to fight STD or Getting Lucky for a spot. So it's probably going to be those 4. So Getting Lucky will get 2 a month, and then these 2 will get 1. And sorry, Automatic Girlfriend, you lost. I guess I could do all 4, but I don't know. I could do all 4, and then I'd only have to do Getting Lucky once a month, and that wouldn't be so bad. It would allow it to continue going forward, but it wouldn't require the hecticness of a daily release. I might do that. Just give you 4 releases. That might be what I do. And if there's a 5th one, it'll just be an extra Getting Lucky. Or no, it'll be an STD. If there's a 5th one, it'll be an STD. I'm going to do that. That'll start next month. I've decided. When the other thing's going to start, the sponsors, I still got those rises I haven't finished. And I mean, it's just gonna involve writing more, and him having he's gonna have to help me build that. So he's gonna be done with whatever project he's on right now. So, long story short, I don't know. Eventually, that's the hope. Eventually. Anyway, any other questions? 2.5 hours, not that bad. I think my one last month went 4 hours, or January that one went 4 hours. But so 2.5 hours ain't bad. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one. Thank you. It's getting hot in here. I usually have a fan blowing on me, but I turned it off for the sake of the sound. All right, and hopefully next time I'll have a better cord before I start, which will be in December. So 6 months from now. See you then. I'll keep writing. Thanks. Bye-bye.